of football.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best of football. It's been weeks of World Cup action, and we like to say that it was a tremendous time. But and then to send this message home faster, we're here complete with Nike.
Yeah,
Welcome to the program today,
always a pleasure to be here. I'm just excited.
and of course, Jide.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
All right, OJ is unavoidably absent, but I'm sure he will join us in the next program. Um, Quickly, Nike,
Yes.
4 weeks of football action,
Yeah.
World Cup, your take.
Oh, beautiful events, tournament, I must say. It's been engaging as expected. Fun, politics, action, discovery, a whole lot together, expectedly yet again, I would say. But this one has a bit of flair to me, in my opinion. I think it has the American effect. So, by and large, it's been great.
Jide, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a good 5 weeks. Football eventually delivered. It didn't start out like it was going to be a very good one, but over time, we grew into the competition, and at the end of the day, I think the best team won.
Okay, like Nick said, football American World Cup American style, and we had something pretty special. We'll touch the talking points, especially of the from the semifinals. Um, Spain beats France.
Yeah.
Was that a surprise, Nick?
Was that a surprise?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a surprise as much as I was rooting for France for personal reasons. That is, it wouldn't be for personal. I think I just like the French side, and I wasn't expecting the finals, in my opinion, to turn out the way it did. But I mean, Spain was a better side, very deserving of the win. They had a team that had been built up through the years. They had a coach. They have a coach, Luis de la Fuente, he who is spectacular, is tactically aware of the game and deploys that which was necessary for that game. As much as some of us wished it was kind of different, I think because of the composition of the French side having some of our color, and I just kind of liked. I liked how it turned out, as disappointing as it was for me. But like we say always, football isn't mathematics. But to a large extent, this was because Spain was a better side. In my opinion.
Gidi, at the end of 90 minutes or when the final whistle went, Spain proved the better side. But, here was France with an awesome attack. And I remember saying in one or two editions that I don't know who's going to stop this team. But obviously, the Spanish coach had other ideas, tactically speaking.
Yes, so like Nick has said, Spain was a better team. I think the key word is team. France had a collection of fantastic individuals, but as a team, Spain was a much better team. There's something people have missed out in the entire success story of this Spanish team. So they have a coach who is relatively new at the highest level of international football. But then people forget that Luis de la Fuente won the European Under-19 with Spain. He won European Under-21 with Spain.
2015.
Got them, I think they've even won the Olympic gold medal with the same team. So he has won, this is the fourth consecutive tournament he's winning with Spain. I have to remember that a lot of these Spanish players are boys that he has brought through the ranks. So he knows them inside out. So in terms of the makeup of the Spanish team, they were more likely to win that game than France was. France had individual superstars. But if you remember at the beginning of this competition, we highlighted that there was some little drama in this French team in terms of who was the bigger superstar and all of that. Who knows, maybe that came to play. But at the end of the day, Spain was a much more was a better team in the sense of how the World Cup played out?
Because Spain was a unit that, had the game under control,
Yes.
denied France the spaces, and then you see a quote-unquote rookie like Kubasi forcing Mbappe away from the central attacking role to the left side and still not effective. Or was it? Is it safe to say that it wasn't just the the Spanish team playing with superior tactics, but that Jide has said, there were a few things we heard about in the dressing room, and then Mbappe was totally removed from Dembele,
Yes.
and whoever played on the left flank, Bakola, for the first 45 minutes, didn't seem to be on the field.
Yeah. I still will take it down to understanding the game and the depth of tact with the Spanish coach. Like we had mentioned earlier too, the cohesion within the team, you can't take away. I'll just take it back home. The farthest we had gone in Nigeria was the golden days of football, where we had a coach who understood these boys, had grown with them, Westerhoff, I dare say, and understands their strengths and weaknesses. And having watched the French side play all this while, I think he helped the Spanish coach to determine their weaknesses and their strength. It was quite easy to tell, in my opinion, for him. Maybe if they had been more tactical, which I don't see, like Jide had mentioned, it was more about individual talents as opposed to what cohesion you would get with. We had 8 Barcelona players in this team. We had players who had been known since as far back as 2015 to their coach. So how do you say he would know them well, to know their strength and easily deploy their strength when necessary and work on the weaknesses where it should be? It was easy to tell the French side when you got a hold of Mbappe, you got a hold of Dembele, you had totally crippled the French side. It was just easy, in my opinion, if you had a manager with the quality of Luis de la Fuente, which that came to play. I felt that it was a game that was played as should be. Maybe if they had tried more, maybe if they had more, but this would have been something that prepared before now. Like we're saying, they had internal rancor and all of that. That would affect it. But then again, Spain was a much more experienced side. A much more experienced side.
Yeah, Spain with such a young team and so much experience, and then they prevailed over, what otherwise looked like a world-class French attack. Now, let's go to the new. Is it right to say that Yamal is the new sensation in football? Yamal, 19 a day before the World Cup final. And when the tournament started, it didn't look like in the same shape as it was for the European Championship.
Yes. So in contrast to the form he had all season long in Barcelona, he actually didn't have a fantastic competition, in all honesty. He just did enough to help his team get over the line. And if Spain depended on Yamal as much as Argentina depended on Messi, they probably would not have got to the final, because he wasn't at his best in this competition. It seemed like maybe it was fatigue or he wasn't fully fit. There was something wrong, that it wasn't typical Yamal we know. But then again, for someone like that, his presence on the pitch is enough most of the time. It makes coaches rethink their tactics, makes players jittery and all of that. So, and we saw all of that in the competition.
Yeah.
So his presence made a significant difference. And yes, he's not so new, but you can clearly tell he's the future of the game. He's going to be around for a long time. We can only hope that his advisors keep him grounded because typically for people of that level, that's usually what the problem is off-field issues and things that derail them. So you hope that if his family and his advisors keep him grounded, he's going to be a major superstar in the game for many, many years.
Yes, Nick. Jamal.
Lamine Yamal. I'd agree to a certain extent that is the discovery, the golden boy of this tournament, as much as some would say that is expected. I would agree that because when you look at the records we have now, we is the only team who's been able to get the with Euro at the same time World Cup the same year. That's a record that is unbeaten. And as Jide rightly pointed out earlier, kind of concerned for what would come afterwards, especially off the pitch of play, because when you achieve so much quickly, there's a tendency to fall for exuberance, and we've seen a lot of great talents going to extinct because of this. And I just hope that he's able to forge ahead and make bigger name as he has built already, make something much bigger. There's no denying that he has the talent. There's no denying that he's got what it takes to take him to greater heights. And I see that happening. I say to a lot of people after the World Cup that the most remarkable for me was the hug with Messi at the finals. It just says a lot about handing, sort of like passing the torch to another generation. I mean, I say this often that there's a shelf life to every player, and you can only play for a certain time. So you know when the time is up, and it's already obvious that as much as we all love Messi, his fans are all over the world. There are some talents that will be discovered over time, and this is just one of them, if not the one that is going to displace Messi. To me, it was a spiritual connection. As much as we know that Messi was emotional at the time they had the hug, I just believe that a lot more could be done if handled properly. If he is handled properly, in my opinion.
Jide, Nick just said it's like passing the torch spiritually. But what's this mythical connection between Messi and Yamal?
So if you remember that there's the part of the story where Yamal met Messi when he was a baby. If you track back that far, you could kind of understand why you might say there's something spiritual about it. I think Yamal was about a year old, like 7 months to a year old, when his family took him to meet the great Messi, who was much younger but was already great at the time. And it didn't just take him to meet a Messi, it was a very intimate moment where he carried the boy and sat with his mom while they were giving him his bath and all of that. So you could say that it was from that moment that the spiritual connection might have started. Since then, they've been very, very close. He sees Messi as a mentor. So the emotional moment from that final was just an extension of something that started a long time ago. And yes, I would agree that it was a passing of the torch, because as in today's football world, Yamal is the next big thing, clearly. I just hope that he's able to hold it all in and not go the way of the Freddie Adus and the other big superstars that disappeared very early into their supposed superstar periods. But as of today, there's no argument that Yamal is the next big thing.
Okay, Yamal, we all agree it's the next big thing in football. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll touch on the rest of the talking points. Best of football. Welcome back. This is the best of football, and the three of us here looking at the talking points. We started with the first semi-finals. Now let's talk about second semi-final. Before the game, not many people gave England a chance. The game started and England was looking good. Jide, what then happened?
That game was very strange. Prior to the commencement of the game, most people had assumed that both teams would be too disappointed to bring their A games to that game. And then both teams made 7 changes to the lineups that started the previous game, the quarterfinal games, the semi-final game.
Yeah.
The quarterfinal game, sorry. So it looked as though they were really just playing for, let's just do this and, let's see how it goes. That game, England should have won that game, in my opinion. I really don't understand what happened. A lot of people say it was poor management by the coach. But I also say it was poor management by the players as well, because England started very well. They were 1 goal up. At the time they were 1 goal up, Argentina had no look in that game. They did not look like they were going to do anything.
True.
Then all of a sudden, England decided to sit back. This is a game you had controlled for about 60, 65 minutes. And for whatever reason, they decided, okay, maybe we'll do the last 25, 30 minutes on the back foot. Now, Argentina is not typically, they are not one of those teams that put you under that kind of pressure, even when you do a low block. But England sat so deep that they had so much space in the midfield. And really, that's where that game was won. The midfield of England disappeared completely. The coach took out Declan Rice, took out all the important people that had held that midfield for 60 minutes, and then brought in defenders, and the moment those changes happened, the table turned, and Argentina got more confident, had more space. Then you had a Messi who realized that, okay, at this time he needed to drift to the right. So all the things that Montiel was doing earlier, Messi started doing, was taking corner kicks, taking free kicks, he was crossing with his right foot, things he had never, because he had so much time to decide to do things he was not used to doing. And eventually England caved. For me, it was a bit of an embarrassment the way that game went, because they had no business losing that game from the position that they were in at the time they decided to sit back. Many people have blamed the coach for that. He has come out to defend himself, that the team could not give what they didn't have, and that he had pointed it out before that game, that England's midfield wasn't dominating as well as they could have been dominating games. Maybe. Because I had to go back and watch some of their previous games to see and I could see, yes, he had a valid point up to an extent. They were really weren't dominating games as they should, but that still was not enough justification for them to have collapsed the way they did in that game.
Nike, for the first time, I saw Thomas Tuchel tactics let him down. Yes, Jide has said that he claimed that England didn't have players who could dominate the midfield, but he had players who could contain opposition.
Yeah.
But until his substitutions started making it look like we were watching a video game wrongly packaged.
I think I agree with you. It was more, as a lot of us have agreed over the days, as the days have gone past, that Tuchel's at some points they were doing a more defensive style of play, and it felt awkward. They couldn't keep it up, and the Scaloni saw this, knowing the capability of the English. They've been playing for a long time, so they were already tired. You could tell. He kind of capitalized on that and broke them down. I mean, 55th minute goal, if I recall, was when the first one came. And I was just so excited because I was looking for, like I've said many times here, that I was looking forward to seeing England at the final. So I was very excited. But then they just crashed like a pack of cards. It was just the introduction of the style of play that was very unnecessary at that time. And Scaloni saw it and then just capitalized on it, in my opinion. It was very obvious. These guys couldn't follow through. You can't play that sort of play with the Argentines. It wasn't just going to work. You are English. and everybody understands the capabilities you have. So why would you now go for a defensive style of play? You were leading. I was very sure that England they were going to win that match. It was so disappointing for me. And especially looking towards, it was just between 8 minutes towards the end of the game that we saw these last 2 goals. In fact, that 82nd or something goal was just a shock to me. I was literally mortified. Like, this is not just happening. It was very disappointing.
Well, the English, the inventors of football, they made showed the same weakness as the African teams.
Well,
Yes, they did. So you have a lot of banter on the internet as to if England can do this, why blame any African club for doing the same thing? Yeah, they considered the first goal about 85th minute of that game.
thank
It just tactically, I still do not understand what they did in that game. Because even at the time they had taken out their dominant midfielders, what anybody thought, if you are going to even do a low block, England has a lot of runners on the bench. At the very least, you put runners on both wings.
Yep.
So that
Can
when
handle
you
the-
break out,
Yeah.
you have people that can carry the ball into the opposing half. But they didn't do that. They kept all the runners on the bench and then brought people that were just going to come and grapple with that. And you cannot be Argentina at grappling. We've seen over the course of this competition that when it comes to playing hard, doing whatever it takes to win, Argentina won that World Cup. They almost don't have morals when they want to win it.
Yes.
They do whatever it takes
Whatever.
to win. And so England basically played into their hands, and it was very strange for a coach of Tuchel's level. I don't know what he did. It was very, very shocking that he would do that for a team that had a lot more quality than that. Especially because if at the time he decided to go negative, if Argentina was dominating, it would have been understood. England was comfortable in that game up till that point.
Yes.
So there was absolutely no reason to
Change.
do all of those things he did. And then he just completely, I'm sure if he won't admit it, but I'm sure he realizes that he really messed up and he probably won't do it again for the rest of his career. But then this is a World Cup. It comes once every 4 years. This opportunity will not come again.
Okay, before we go on the next break, Nike, World Cup third place playoff. A lot of people said, what do you need a third place game for? But we saw something very special. 10-goal thriller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
England prevailing over France and Mbappe getting the golden boot. Yeah. How do you react to that?
Same as the rest of us that it came to me. I didn't think it came as watching how things unfolded. You know, I don't think it came to me as a shock. I don't think it was unexpected, in my opinion, really. Maybe because of the disappointments that came. I had a lot of emotional, I don't want to say it all throughout, but by and large, I think it was just fair. 10?
That England won?
Yeah.
Did Tuchel make up for his errors?
Yes. Yes. If you consider the fact that this bronze medal is still England's best performance since 1966. Yeah. So that's 60 years.
60.
So a third place position in 6 years
Not-
is not
it's
bad.
not bad.
They've struggled to even get this far for so long.
Bad.
But on the flip side, the way that game played out was rather strange. Both teams made the same number of changes. It looked like they were not really going to play for anything serious. I think the English kind of caught the French by surprise. I think because if you look at the way the French team started, 7 changes, only Mbappe
Yeah.
and Olise. But the supporting cast was missing. So he suggested that he kept Mbappe on to see if he could increase his goal tally. But he didn't give him the support to increase the goal tally. If you can find a way to do it, good for you. But
It was just
it was just there.
It was just there.
And then you now have a situation where I think it reminds me of, I think it was the 82 World Cup where Algeria was knocked out in the first round, where the
Germans
and the Austrians
Austrian
played
team.
some kind of an agree. I think they had kind of mentally told themselves, there's nothing to play for here. Let's just see how it goes. But then the English had scored 4 by the time the French team realized what was going on. And at that point, that was Deschamps' final game as a French coach. So he was not going to allow himself to be embarrassed. So instantly, he started bringing in all the big guns to see how do we redeem this. And they managed to, up to a point, until England decided to then bring in Bellingham. And then, so up to the point Bellingham came in, the French would probably have equalized that game because England was on the ropes for a long period. By the time it was 5-3. By the time it was 4-3, they were on the ropes. They were really going to concede to make it 4-4. But then Bellingham came and stabilized the English team. Very strange. It's not the kind of game you expect in a knockout, whether it's quarterfinals or third place. Typically you don't see games, high-scoring games like it. But it was good entertainment. We enjoyed it, even though probably will not see a game like that again anytime soon. But it was a good advertisement for the game.
And Saka went home with the ball for scoring a hat-trick.
Yes. For lovers of Saka,
That was something.
that was something.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back shortly. Best of football. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the best of football, and we're still looking at World Cup 2026, where the bubble burst and where this excitement were really created. The final game, Nike,
Yes.
Argentina v Spain. What were your feelings before the game and when the game?
Like I saw on someone's status earlier that we all hated the GOAT so much that 47 countries were against one man. Maybe I was one of those that just felt that they were unduly advantaged in this tournament. I was looking for a serious beating, But by and large, and as I would always say, my opinion is that Spain was just the better side. They didn't give the Argentine any room. They just showed that they deserved to be there, and then they held it down through the game. I felt more of Messi's emotion came from just reviewing their performance and then saying, oh, we messed up big time.
Who could have done it differently?
Well, who could have done it differently? Well, maybe they couldn't have because they didn't stand a chance against Spain with what they did on the day. I just felt that Spain was a better side and they gave their best. The lineup was just it. We've said it from the beginning of this episode that Spain just had a better lineup. And all of the undue advantage they had gotten from the beginning, because some will argue otherwise, but it just, at the end of the day, football won. Football just won. We saw a side that knew what to do. They didn't stand a chance. How many shots on target did we get from Argentina? How many shots did we get from the Spanish side? It was just, to me, a delivery of excellence. I was hoping to get more goals. And of course, the cap for it was the Torres one. It felt like just needed. It would have been more goals if they had done it even more than they did from the Spanish guys. It felt like Argentina just didn't stand a chance, in my opinion. They just didn't stand a chance.
Jide, well, Argentina just was outplayed, as it were. But it will look like an anticlimax because the way the officiating was going and so many calls in their favor.
Yeah.
And then it looked like coronation for Argentina, but Spain had other ideas.
Okay, so the overriding feeling I had over that final game was disappointment. Disappointment in the sense that I didn't really think Argentina was going to beat Spain. But I did not expect Argentina to play the way they did. It was exceedingly negative. And typically I really do not like to watch football games that are like that. You had an Argentine team. Now, in hindsight, you could have sensed how Argentina was going to approach that final. In hindsight, in 2022, they did the exact same thing. They played almost the same way they played this competition in 2022, the exact same way. They got to the final, somehow they won. They followed the exact same template in 2026. Argentina, as in all the games they played, they were not the better side in any of the games they played. But somehow, they get to win. Usually because the teams they play give them a bit too much respect. Which is why the England game upsets me, because England is not a team that should have given Argentina that much respect. They didn't deserve that respect that England gave them. England were a much better team than they were, but somehow they decided to give them that much respect. In the final, Argentina started obviously not intending to play football on that day.
Yeah.
They
came to defend. That is one of the, maybe if you look at the 94 final, Brazil-Italy, this is one of the drabbest finals I've watched in a long time, because one team, Argentina had no shots on target, no shots at anywhere in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they had 2 shots in the 30 minutes of extra time. None of those 2 shots were on target. So they had no shots on target in the entire game.
Yeah.
And that is a team that has Enzo Fernandez, has Lautaro, has Alvarez, has Messi. But you could clearly see that they had been instructed
just go rough
to do damage control in that game. That's all they just came to damage, because I think they agreed that Spain was better. They knew. So they knew they couldn't match them. So they came to just contain them all day. And then, of course, the officiating was a bit iffy as well, because you had the Argentines played like the Paraguayans did against France. They were unduly physical. And the referee, for a part, I could understand the referee that he tried to let the game flow. But then he realized, if I let this game flow, they're going to kill somebody on the pitch, because Argentines were very, very hard.
Very hard.
I'm not sure I want to watch another Argentina game if they're going to play a game like this. It was so embarrassing to watch. But overall, the Spanish team won. It was a game where they controlled for all of the 120 minutes of that game. They were in control. There was nothing to worry about. A friend of mine who was in the stadium on the day said that you need to watch the Spanish national team play live. To see how much work they actually do. That watching them on TV looks like they put in minimal effort. But that when you watch them live,
you get to see
the amount of running they do in every game is ridiculous. You don't get to see that aspect of them when you watch from the TV. Which tells you that they put in a lot of work. Every game. They put in a lot of work, but overall the quality was way too different. You had a Rodri that was playing what the Italians call quartetista, I think. He very rarely got beyond the center circle, but he was dictating everything that happened in that game. Very, very professional performance. They could have embarrassed Argentina more. I kind of wish they had done so. But at the end of the day, the team that deserved to win won.
Okay, let's look at some individual performance on the night. Ferran Torres became an instant legend.
Yes, and I would not describe him as an instant legend. He was an impact substitute, in my opinion. That's what he's known for. Even at the club side, you bring him in to deliver, and he does. And that's exactly what he did with this one. It was just necessary, and he hits the nail on the head, in my opinion. This is what he does. And just like we had mentioned, the coach knows each and every player, their strengths and their weaknesses. He knew when to say, do this. And because they've played together, the sync is there. They know when to attack. as much as Gidi had mentioned earlier that they would have scored more goals. Yes, I wish they had, because they were just awesome on the day. Fernando Torres was the icing on the cake that was just necessary on the day too. But he actually has been that kind of player, and he delivered as expected.
Enzo Fernandez embarrassed me as a Chelsea fan. What do you think about his
So
petulance?
he got carried away. Mentally or psychologically, he reacted to the way his team was playing. What he did was, it's not typical Enzo, if you've watched Enzo over time. But he was reacting to the way his colleagues had played. You could tell that it was a siege mentality they came into that game with. It's almost like it's us against the world. Everybody is saying FIFA is supporting us, is helping us. They came like, we will kill ourselves today just to prove that we deserve to be here. The tackles he made to get those cards, unnecessary. And they were tackles that typically, Enzo is not somebody who gets into tackles like that on a normal day. But the emotions of the pep talks his team had been giving, everything got the better of him, and he just got carried away. And I'm sure he regrets it.
I was even embarrassed.
And you could see a continuation of that at the end of the game, that they found it difficult to adapt, to accept the loss. And, it was such a...
They were still arguing.
Some people would say, I've heard people say that it was a very Argentina-like performance, because typically Argentina are like that. Over the years, if they are, that is how they are typically. But they hadn't done that in this competition. So, but I think maybe the weight of the occasion got the better of all of them. And
did Enzo's red card shift any balance?
I guess they were going to lose regardless. They were going to lose. I was just looking forward to them losing, not because first because of the advantage, over throughout the tournament, in my opinion. Then because we just needed to see a situation where football will win, and it did. It did. The better side got.
Okay. The Villa goalkeeper, who I always thought was world class. The last season, he wasn't quite on that level, but put another goalkeeper between the six in that final game, Argentina could have gone 4-5-0 down.
Yes, I think without a doubt, Martinez is more class. He doesn't have stature like some of the other goalkeepers that we've seen over time. He's not one who shouts. He almost looks like a preacher when he's in goal. But clearly he's very, very well respected in his team, and they trust him. And really, without him, that game would have finished way earlier than it did. Now, back to your earlier question. I honestly believe that Enzo's red card changed something in that game. Not change in it didn't change it with regards to how I think Argentina might have managed to hold on to penalties if Enzo did not get that red card.
Yeah.
Because as much as Spain was doing, there weren't that many occasions that it really, really looked like they were going to score. The Argentine defense was really strong, even though they were a bit hard, but they were quite compact. That game could easily have gone to penalties. I agree with Nike and the majority of the world that it would have been a travesty if that game had gone to penalty and Argentina had won. But it could easily have gone to penalty. So I think that red card kind of helped Spain to get it done in 120 minutes.
Okay, Nike, we have to go back to Messi.
Yeah.
Some people call him the greatest of all time. I say the greatest of his time because I've seen two, by reason of age, I've seen 2-3 eras before, and the rules of the game favor players a lot today. Because up till 1970, World Cup, substitutes are not allowed in football. So they get away with so much. Messi's reaction at the end of the game, when you Is it understandable, or it was a bit too much?
Well, I believe it was understandable to me. He sensed, when you've gotten to a certain level, even when you come into an office, you're supposed to read the room. I believe he just read the room. It was the end of an era. Messi, there's no taking that away from him, that he loved the game. He played the game. He was passionate about, like every other footballer, but he was a skillful player. He was one that gave, you may not agree with, the times where really football has gotten a lot more technical than it was. It would not allow some fluidity and the kind of football we saw when my dad and the rest of their likes were playing football is not what we have now. You go back to some of those tapes and you'll be like, no, Daddy, they don't do those things anymore. So, well, with the generation, I'll agree with Gideon to that. He's been able to make his mark. It was expected of him to be that emotional, especially with the kind of mindset they came onto. Like Gideon mentioned, if they had looking back now, if they had 11-11, yes, they probably would have gotten to penalties. And they were inching towards that, actually. They were looking forward to that. And of course, it would most likely favor them, But then again, when things don't turn out the way we expect it to, you would feel some sort of disappointment. I believe he just felt that this was going to be a send forth that would be the climax of his career with a victory and holding the trophy. He had it all planned out. So the emotions were gushing in expectedly. But it is what it is. It was just the end. And
At 39,
39.
his legs could still carry him that swiftly. But, Mets and a Spanish team that was ready for him and his teammates.
At 39, like we said at the beginning of this competition, he surprised a lot of people. He should not have done as well as he did in this competition, because at that age, you really don't have much left to give. But then again, maybe part of the reasons why his emotions boiled over in the final game, apart from the fact that when you get to the very end of a World Cup in the final game, you can almost smell it. You can almost touch it. So it is difficult to accept that you got that close and you still missed out. But then you realize that he has prepared himself for this World Cup for years. One of the reasons why he went to MLS was because he knew the World Cup was going to be in the US. So he had mentally prepared himself to be at his best when this World Cup came. And you could tell that he was at his best. So he did fantastically well. Yes, unfortunately, we are still not sure if this is his last World Cup, because he hasn't come out to declare anything. And the way Messi plays now, I honestly would not bet against him appearing again in 4 years' time. Because he manages his energy. If you watch the final, for large parts of that game, he was walking. He wasn't marking, he wasn't doing anything, he was walking. And people had said prior, Argentine players, that they were willing to die for him on that day. So you knew that everybody was playing for Messi to just get this. And then if you now take into cognizance the fact that after the final game, Maradona's son came out to say Messi will never be as good as his father, regardless of how many Ballon d'Ors, how many World Cups he wins. So at the back end, there's also the rivalry of who is the best all-time from Argentina.
Yes,
and so winning 2 World Cups would have gotten him to a higher pedestal, but it was not to be. Messi doesn't speak very much. If I was a Messi, I'll probably be upset with the coach. I didn't think we should have come out with those tactics on the day, but it is what it is. If they had won, we would not have had this conversation.
Yeah, same thing Jürgen Klopp said when he was asked, what's your take on Tuchel's in-game management? He said, well, if he had made those changes and they won, we will not be talking about that. So, like you said, it is what it is. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to be looking at the fans' selection of or reaction to some of the awards after the World Cup finals. Best of football. Welcome back. This is still the best of football, and we're looking at some of the things that tickled our, fancies and imagination. Player of the tournament. Were you surprised, Jide?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that typically the players of a tournament are the flashy ones, the ones who score the most goals or who do the most dribbles and stuff like that. I think apart from the time Cannavaro won, you very rarely have players of World Cup tournaments that are not strikers. It's very rare. But when you look at that Spanish team, yes, Rodri kept that team ticking. He got so. It's I think it was Graham Souness that said about last week that you cannot compare any English midfielder with a Rodri. Why? And what was his major example? That most typical English midfielders have to drive with the ball to make an impact. Rodri does not need to run with the ball. He can stand in one spot and is controlling everything that happens on the pitch. Reminds you of how a Xavi plays or how a Pirlo played in his days. Yeah. So when you look at the way the competition went, the fact that Spain got to the final, Spain won it. Yes, Rodri, I think overall he probably deserved the golden ball.
Nika, you agree?
I do, absolutely. He's someone described it as a matured, stylish midfielder, something like that, and I kind of agree. He comports himself in some field that he delivers. So I think to me it was deserving.
Okay.
I know you disagree. You disagree.
Good. I agree. Just that I was surprised that Infantino didn't give it to Messi.
Say, oh well, that was going to make people,
Yeah,
they already said he was favored.
He gave him the silver ball.
Well,
so.
Okay. Young player of the tournament.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kubasi.
Was that Kubasi? No, it wasn't. It's Yamal.
Oh, Yamal.
Yeah.
No,
it was Kubasi.
It was Kubasi. It was Kubasi.
It was
Kubasi. That was the young player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think I agree.
yeah.
Yes, that's the second 19-year-old in the Spanish team. Him and Yamal are the same age, and he played with maturity way beyond his years. There were times when, at the beginning of competition, where you kind of worried for him because he was jumping into tackles at the beginning. But he settled down, and you would not have known he was 19. Playing with a Laporte who is almost twice his age. He completely justified that young player of the tournament. And then again, like I said, the way these things play out, because Spain got that far in the competition, it was almost inevitable that somebody from that Spanish team would win.
Talent will explode.
All right, okay. Best goalkeeper of the tournament?
Yeah. Unai.
Martinez.
Oh, sorry. Martinez was the best goalkeeper. It was a 9.
Unai Simon.
It was a 9 Simon.
Oh, I thought
No,
it
it was a 9.
went. Oh, really?
It was a 9.
Yeah, but do you agree? I mean, was he really tested?
So you see,
Just
the
like
thing
you said,
with
towards
this
being at the
award
final.
is that
Being at the
so for the criteria for best goalkeeper,
Yeah.
of course, number of clean sheets, how many goals you concede. He considered only one goal in the entire competition. So by virtue of not conceding just one goal, it was automatically going to win that title. But there were a few other goalkeepers that people have argued might have. Like you mentioned, Emi Martinez was really good. You had Gregor Kobel from Switzerland was also very good. There were a few other people that might have won it, but then Spain got to the final. Yeah. So, inevitably.
Okay. Nika, your most memorable match?
The Cape Verde...
Cape Verde, Spain.
Spain.
Cape Verde, Argentina.
That was... Argentina. Yeah. That was the best match for me. It just says a lot to many countries that you can, if you will. Sincerely, they made a mess of they made a point. I don't want to say they made a point that it's not about it's not how far, but how well. So for me, most of us enjoyed the match. I remember recall some of my friends still talking about that. This is just the end of the World Cup for me. It just says that we can do more if given the opportunity, and there are a lot more other talents in the world. And that's why we differ on the number of slots to come. This 64 to 48, but for this increase in the number of participating countries, we'll probably never have discovered Cape Verde. And
Jide, your most memorable match?
In all honesty, I can't even think of one. There were quite a few remarkable games, but I would stay with Cape Verde, Argentina, because of how that game played out. It wasn't just an underdog against a perceived superpower. It was how Cape Verde stood up all through that game. No fear. They used the opportunity to express themselves, show that they did not come to just be counted in that, to just watch the competition. They came to be counted as well. Yeah, there were a few other games, but I think I'll stick with that one.
Okay, I read in one of the platforms, one of the sports platform on WhatsApp, and World Cup final between Spain and Argentina, two teams that couldn't beat Cape Verde.
Very correct.
that's true.
Right, but you see,
I love Spain, but it didn't even occur to me that
yeah, very correct.
Very correct.
You see, I was this morning. I was checking FIFA's official website to see the final ranking of teams in the World Cup. Cape Verde was ranked 32.
Wow.
Of 48.
Fair.
I felt it was unfair. In all honesty,
in my opinion, unfair,
because they were Ivory Coast, Senegal was 31, and I didn't understand why Cape Verde was below Senegal. If you look at the performances of both teams, it was a clear daylight.
Nike and Jide, would it be right to say that Spain, because they are world champions, they're the most complete team?
Well, to a large extent, tournament football is generally very strange. Some teams come good just for that tournament, and then they are not very good before, and they might not be very good after. But typically, for you to win a competition like this, you have to be a tournament team, which is exactly what Spain did. They were not spectacular all through they just kept on going quietly under the radar until they got to the knockouts, where people now really started paying attention. But in many ways, yes, they were the most complete.
Okay.
Yes, complete. If you follow the history of the composition, and I think this has a lot to say to Nigerians and as football, sports in general. If you see a coach transition from under 19 to under 21 to Olympics, and then now to I don't think any coach in the history of Nigeria has been given that much trust. Maybe they don't have it, is what you would say, or some would argue, but that you're allowed to understand your team and then build through the years. I think that's contributed to this sort of, I don't want to say.
Well, I agree.
How long?
No, I agree. We have a governance issue.
Challenge.
But our coaches have not proved to
themselves
be
worthy of
that
such investment. Now, when I was doing my NYSC in 1983, my sports captain in Uniben would have graduated together. May so rest his peace. Isong Isang was a pharmacist. He was doing his internship, right? And to study pharmacy in Uniben, we're talking about 5 years.
Yes.
And this is somebody who went to Government College Ughelli and did A-levels. He's a graduate. And you invite him to under 20. I mean, it's not going to work.
It's not.
I have seen the call-up list for the national team. Omoigui Senior is invited to under 20. Omoigui Junior is invited to Super Eagles. We've had situations like that where the coaches, yes, I know that sometimes it's down to the fact that the FA waits until 3-4 months to a tournament and says, "Hey, Coach Jide, go and give us a team,"
give us a team,
and then
which is still the same thing, really.
which is what we're doing. So it's
It still
difficult,
boils down to
coaches to graduate teams, because you have a coach who has 3 months to produce a team instead of 1 year, and that puts some pressure on
I
the
agree.
coach. Then you also look at coaches too, where they are coming from. When people hail Siasia, I say to people that Siasia
How
is
long
a
did
talent
Siasia-
hunter. He has eyes
for
talented players.
sporting talents? Yeah.
But we're talking about preparing a team. We're talking about the selection, finding a blend. And I mean, I watched Siasia's team play. His captain, Isaac Promise or something.
Yeah, Promise.
He played him 6 times, started him 6 times, and substituted him 6 times. I mean, that doesn't say much about his tactical stuff. So to get a coach that will move from under 20 to under 23 to the Eagles, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, but
Because,
even that's
Again, I quarrel with this sense of entitlement of our ex-footballers.
Yeah.
I think, they played football before.
they
therefore-
know. No, but it's a different.
It's not the same
ballgame.
skill
It's not
set.
the same.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's not the same.
So, well, I agree. It's worked for Algeria, for Morocco. It's worked for Spain.
Yeah.
Yes, if we are honest with ourselves, we could do it.
It doesn't even have to be a Nigerian coach, in my opinion. I'm just saying the setting.
The system
Even
will
when
not
we
allow.
bring that's the challenge, and it's quite unfortunate because we'll be going around the same circle if we keep doing this. Fortunately,
Okay, we will look at the World Cup itself again now. Jide, how happy are you with the organization? Some people have quarreled with the very commercial nature of the tournament, water break, hydration break, and even half time. They became 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, we knew that this World Cup was an American event. And if you know the Americans,
they don't do small.
they don't do anything small. So they clearly put their imprint on this competition. The shock was that FIFA allowed it to go that way. But that said, the competition was actually very good. Overall, the quality was good. Largest crowd turnout ever in any World Cup. 3 countries. Logistically, it should have been a nightmare, but they managed it quite well by ensuring the moment you knew that the latter on the knockout phases was primarily in the US, they kind of shrunk. But even then, the US is big enough to be 3 different continents in many places. So, but overall, it was a good World Cup. We just hope FIFA does not give away too much of their power like this going forward, because it's not very good for the game. Yeah, for this World Cup, it worked, but overall for the game, there were many things that happened in this World Cup that we will see repercussions or we'll see consequences in the years to come.
Well, we hope that one of the consequences will be the exit of Infantino. I'm not happy.
I don't see him.
some of the things
That he allowed.
because I mean there are some shots you see. I don't know if it was AI generated, but when Spain saw its goal, Infantino's reaction was,
Yeah, that might have been AI generated, but there was a previous incident against Egypt where he actually expressed joy that Argentina scored. So you can't, if you are a FIFA president, you don't show such emotions. That's clearly something he did not learn.
they get happy with the World Cup.
Yeah, I am. Like Jide mentioned, the American flamboyance came with it, and for every venture, as much as we won the World Cup, there's money to be made. So I think that that part, fair enough, would look good for them. From all these advertisers, from all the sponsorships and all of that, you can tell that this was better this would bring home to all parties involved.
Did
Genuine moment.
we miss the World Cup or the World Cup? Did Nigeria? Well, did the World Cup miss Nigeria or did Nigeria miss the World Cup?
The World Cup did not miss us, in all honesty. We missed the World Cup. Typical, apart from, okay, maybe we would have been adjudged the country with the best jersey in the competition, which is what we tend to win every World Cup these days. But beyond that, I'm not sure anybody really missed Nigeria in that World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't miss us. Let's just face it, so that we can put our house in order. They didn't miss us. We missed the World Cup because it would have been a much more entertaining one if we had participated. It would have been an opportunity for most of our talents to be discovered. It would have been an opportunity for money to be made even with it, because a lot of sponsors back down. You don't expect them to put money where we're not involved. So that's, I think we lost more than the world.
Okay, that's where we draw the curtain on the World Cup. And to this program from Nike.
It's a bye-bye till we see you the next time.
Yeah, the World Cup is over. We will now move on to other things.
All right, we'll be back same time next week. Best of football.